Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. We are back with the review for Reasonable Doubt. This is season 3, episode 4, Friend or Foe. So we open up the episode with Jax and Daniel popping up over there to Ozzy's house bright and early in the morning. First of all, I wouldn't have answered the door, but that's neither here nor there. So they go over there to talk to Christian because Jax is trying to get an insight of when and who may have given him the drugs, when he may have started back using. Christian says she swears she didn't give him anything the night that Wendy went missing, but she reluctantly had to admit that she was the one gave him something the day he OD'd because Daniel was staring her down like, you better tell the damn truth. So Jax lets her know that jury selection is coming up, and if there's somebody out there that can provide Ozzy with an alibi, they need to find them. So then Christian blurts out, well, maybe Byron, because he was Ozzy's main supplier back in the day, and they were really close before Ozzy got clean. So Jax asked her about his contact information, and she claims she may have an old number, but she'll do her best to get whatever they need. And Daniel sitting over there all smitten like, my baby did good, thinking he over there talking in codes all the while Jax knows that he likes her. So Jax tells Daniel to follow up on the Byron lead and to keep a good eye on that Christian because Jax feels like she's hiding something and not telling the complete truth, and I agree. Because who is Byron? Why did you throw somebody's name out there that you know he hasn't dealt with for years? Why didn't you say Alex? Do you not know Alex, or are you protecting Alex? So in the next scene, we see Bill sitting outside of Kendra's house yet again, listening to Jess Hilarious on the radio, giving the tea about Ozzy's case. But as soon as he sees Kendra come outside, he jumps up out of the car and rushes up to her saying, I got something for you, petunias, your fave. She's like, those are not my faves, peonies are. But then she tells him it really doesn't matter because what are you doing here? I thought we agreed to give each other some space, but you don't seem to get it. So he attempts to hand her the flowers anyway, saying, happy anniversary. She's like, it was yesterday. I'm like, really, Bill? You can't remember your wife's favorite flower. Now you don't even know your own anniversary date. Like, you are not that busy. And of course, Kendra is annoyed, as any woman would be, but he tells her he's trying real hard to prove to her that he's trying to learn. But he quickly dismisses all of that to let her know that he was second chair in the Ozzy Edwards case, and this is his chance to make partner. Kendra was pretty much given whoop-de-doo and good for you. I'm glad the relationship that you chose is working out for you. So in this moment, we are finding out that he chose his career over his marriage, and apparently Kendra was fed up. So then he tells her since jury selection starts on Monday and he had the kids for the weekend, he wanted to know, can he drop them back off early on Sunday? Now, is it me, or did it seem like last episode they made it seem like Kendra was keeping the kids from him as if he had done something so bad? He had like he hadn't seen his kids in 100 years. Like, I can't even see my kids. But now this episode, we learned that you actually get your kids on the weekends or whatever scheduled day. Like, really? So she tells him, as usual, you have an agenda and think that your time is more important than mine. And the answer to his question was,
hell no, to the no, hell to the no.
And told him he was going to have to figure it out the same way she does when she has to work and put 3 kids to bed alone. He told her, you don't have to be alone. You chose that. She said, I was alone long before you left. Trust. I was like, woo, child. So we go over there to Lewis's office, and he gets this urgent text message from Cliff saying that the codes that the producers received were wrong, and basically it needs to be fixed ASAP. So he calls his newfound buddy old pal Sam in and asks him what was up with the ghetto superstar codes being wrong. Sam goes to close the door because he don't want nobody else to know he ain't worth a hill of beans. So he then tells Lewis that he had never properly learned to code C++. But tells Lewis that he's working on it because he has a friend helping him out. It's just taking a lot longer than he thought. And continues to lay it on thick, telling him, as black men, we don't get these opportunities and I just can't fail. So deep down, Lewis know he getting played, but he done fell for the okie doke. So Lewis tells him he's gonna have to work overtime without pay, the weekends, whatever it takes for him to catch up. And was left standing there looking like he knew he should have never hired this fool. So over there at the law firm, Jax and the team, they're still trying to locate this Byron person. So Jax, she comes up with this whole theory saying that Ozzy could have been home getting high with Byron while Wendy was over there by the cabin being attacked by a drifter. So Jax's next strategy is to portray Ozzy as a broken man who was forced into drugs and abuse since he was a child, and after searching, he finally met someone that not only helped him get clean, but was willing to commit to him for the rest of their life, and then she was unalive, so he really wouldn't have a motive. So Crystal said she would buy the story if she heard it, so Jax had an idea. She goes and gets Susan from accounting and asks her what does she think about Ozzy Edwards. So Susan said he was all right with her until she saw the video of him and Wendy. So Jax went into this whole what if I told you this about Ozzy and his past and his history, what would you think? And by the time they were done, Susan was feeling sorry for Ozzy, and that is exactly what her goal was, so she can try to figure out what type of juror she needs to target. So Jax tells the team it doesn't matter if they're black, white, blue, purple, or green. It's okay if they think he's a monster at first, that's fine. Their focus is to get the public to see who made him that way. And in my opinion, it would be everybody around him. His mama, his daddy, his sister, his agent, that funny looking doctor. All of them need to be locked the hell up, if you ask me. Jax, she gets a text from Lewis basically saying that they can go and get them a little hot, steamy hunching session on while Naima is gone. Jax gets home and they have Sexy Red blaring in the background. She puts on her sexy lingerie. She's feeling herself, literally, and she apparently can't wait for Lewis, and she pulls her toy out. Lewis busts the door down, coming in all hot and sweaty, and the two of them proceed to do what they do. So while they're basking in the aftermath of it all, Naima comes home. So now the session is over. They got to get up and act normal. So they come out the bedroom, putting on their clothes, trying to play it off, trying to talk to Naima and have a conversation. Naima didn't say a mumbling word and slammed the door in their face. I said, no ma'am. So Jax and Lewis, they were shocked. They couldn't believe it. But of course, Jax almost lost her mind. She started banging on the door, talking about every second the door stays locked is going to be added on to her suspension. So she finally opens the door. So Jax, she is heated. She's yelling at her like, what the hell is wrong with you? You don't ignore us, and you damn sure don't slam doors up in this house. So to get them up off of her back, Naima says, oh, but it's okay for my dad to have a baby with my best friend's mom while holding up the Eagles onesie that was for Jaden. Now, where Naima got the onesie from, they never do say, but anyway, Lewis can't believe it. Jax can't believe it. They're looking at each other like, oh-ish. So later on, after all of that, we see everybody at the dinner table, including Spencer. So we know that this is 2 weeks later from last episode. So, of course, Jax is doing all the talking, telling the kids that they didn't want them to find out the way they did. Spencer is making his little snide remarks. He's looking at his phone as if, he really don't give a damn. But Naima's whole thing was she gave Lewis a chance to tell her the truth, and he lied to her face. And I can understand that. Now, honestly, I really thought the kids was going to do a little more than what they're giving us. I thought they were going to be real bout it with it and give them a run for their money. But Spencer is on chill mode. I guess he's just waiting to go back to school. Like, let them deal with this while I'm gone. And Naima, of course, her feelings are hurt, but it wasn't as explosive as I thought it was going to be. But what really pissed me off about this whole scene is Lewis not being the one doing all the talking. This is your ish. And I also find it interesting how calm Spencer is, because when they were separated in season 1, Lewis and Jax, he gave his mama all the smoke. Like, he seemed like he could not stand Jax. But I guess since this is his daddy, everything is cool. So Naima asks both of them, why do they have to go and ruin everything as if this family is not good enough? She got up and left the table. Spencer sarcastically tells them it's great to be back home, and he leaves the table, leaving the two of them sitting there looking crazy. So the next morning, Jax and Bill, they go over there to see Ozzy, and they pretty much wanted to convince him that by him talking about his abuse in court, it can sway the narrative his way. So Jax, she low-key tells her story without telling her story to let him know that she has also been through the same thing. So Jax asks him, does the person that did this to him, do they still have power over him? And he says, does it matter? Because he lost all power the day Wendy was unalive. So she tells him that there won't be any interviews to anyone. This information will come out strictly in court, but he has to tell his parents first. So in the next scene, we see that the jury selection has started and Jax peeps that Chad is trying to eliminate all the black men from the jury. But they're going to reserve their challenges for what she says would be the strongest juror, which would be the compassionate woman. So after court, she meets up with Sally, Autumn, and Chanel. And I'm wondering, is this their first time seeing each other since Chanel's trial? Because that has been like over a year ago. So they're toasting because their schedules have finally aligned. And we find out that Autumn is finally pregnant. We saw her going through the whole IVF thing last season. And what I also want to know is, are we going to finally see her spouse? We know that she has a wife, but we have yet to see the lady, and it's been 3 seasons. But anyway, they congratulate her and they are all elated that this is finally happening for her. So they talk about Naima and Spencer finding out about Jaden, and Jack saying how Naima is still mad and going around slamming doors and being rude and she can't say nothing about it. So Autumn tells her the fact that she cares will go a long way, just give her some time. So Autumn and Chanel, they get up to go to the bathroom and they tell both of them don't spill any tea until we come back. And within a split second of them walking away from the table, Sally tells Jax that she's still hunching Chris. Now, back in the finale of season 2, when Sally and Chris went to counseling, he said he wanted to uncouple. So apparently they are separated going through a divorce. So she tells Jax that they have been having secret sex and don't tell the other ladies. So Jax asks her, does she know if she's the only one he's having sex with? And she catches an attitude with a drunk ass and basically tells Jax since her and Lewis are in a better place that she thinks she's the only one that can be happy and calls Jax a hater. Now, I'm not sure where all of this is coming from. The energy that Sally is giving is the same energy Chanel had with Jackson back in season 1. So it's giving foreshadowing that Chris is probably going to be sleeping with somebody. Because what are we really talking about? You know that Jax went through this with Lewis. Both of them were sleeping around while separated. So she's been there, done that. So how does that make her a hater? But Sally continues and tells Jax that she's been a hater since high school. Jax tells her she's been a 304 since high school. So now what? So Chanel and Autumn, they come back to the table wanting to know what the two of them were talking about. And they lie with their fake and phony ass saying that they were talking about who was going to be the godmother. So later on, Jax, she gets home and she's shocked to see Lewis still working on his laptop. So he tells her about Sam not being up to par with the coding for their projects, and all he sees is a black man squandering an opportunity. And Jax tells him that maybe that's why you're still working 10 o'clock at night and he's not. And she gives him a bit of advice and tells him if he helps Sam too much, both of them will fall. And he agrees. So Jax, she brings up her dad, and instantly it seems like Lewis becomes uneasy. So she asks him what if keeping her dad away is the same thing as the whole Jaden situation, just more lies. So Lewis tells her when she truly believes that Eddie is the man that she wants him to be, then he can meet their kids. But until then, he doesn't want Eddie around. And does she think it's a fair compromise? And she agrees. So the next day, Jax is over there at Ozzy's when Sal and Rosie come over. So Ozzy explains to his parents the reason why he's getting ready to go public with some information in court. So he lets them know that when he was on My Cousins and Them, he was S.A. So his mom wanted to know who did it, and Ozzy didn't want to tell, but his dad acted like he was getting ready to beat it out of him or something when Jax had to pull him off the ledge, like, calm down, allow him to share that particular information when he's ready, because this was already hard enough. So Rosie, she has tears in her eyes. Apparently she had no idea what was going on with her child. She goes to comfort him like, why didn't you tell us? And he said he wanted to, but he was confused because and he stopped, and his mom was like, she? Like, was it that makeup artist? The one that was in the trailer? He was like, no. So he tells her it doesn't matter now, he's fine. And his mom asks, are you sure about that? And he says, really, I don't know. I don't even know what that feels like. He tells her that he wants to be okay. And she says, baby, that is all we want. And they all kind of break down and they comfort him. So Ozzy, he starts apologizing, and his dad tells him he doesn't have to do that. And Ozzy says that he just was scared that they wouldn't believe him. And they let him know that they believe him now, and they would have believed him then. And no matter what has happened, they still love him. And I thought that was a very touching scene. I appreciated it because for the first time in the season, they showed that they really cared about their son and not looking at him as their meal ticket. But that doesn't mean I don't have my good eye on Sal still, because He is not sitting in the background nice and quiet for no reason. And I still want to know, what did Rosie tell Ozzy about Wendy? I'm still watching, but I still appreciated this scene. So when we see Jax, she's clearly in her feelings, and I feel like it was due to the fact that when she went to Mama Lou to tell her what Raggedy Ass Paul was doing to her, her mom's reaction was not as loving and receptive as what she just witnessed. So speaking of, we go over there to Jax's house, and Mama Lou is in there chilling with the kids and doing TikTok dances with Naima. So when someone rings the doorbell and she thinks that it's their food delivery, she answers it, and it's Eddie. She's asking him, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, you told me you were going to be watching the kids, so I thought I'd stop by." Sir, no, you don't just stop by. So apparently these two are doing a lot of behind the scenes talking. So I don't know if he's living with Mama Lou or they just talking on the phone every day. I don't know what they have going on. But she's whispering to him like, "I thought I told you you can't meet the kids until I talk to Jax." Naima, she comes up in the back saying, "Mama Lou, who was that?" And Mama Lou basically just lets him in the house. These two annoy me. So he comes in the house and introduces himself to the kids like, "I'm your mom's dad. I'm your grandfather." Spencer and Naima looking at each other like, what the hell? So then this man has the audacity to say to the kids, "Y'all don't know how to speak?" First of all, sir, you have to realize that you are a stranger to them. Kids are normally taught, don't talk to strangers. You are in their house. They don't know you from a can of paint. And you're not even supposed to be over there in the first place. But anyway, so they do tell him the only thing they know is that he left their mother. So in this whole scene, I just felt like Eddie was very arrogant and cocky and just felt like he just was going to do what the hell he wanted to do, totally disregarding what him and Jax had already talked about. Now here he is in her house in front of her kids, telling them about his addiction and how they're able to handle it because they're young adults. You don't know them, so you don't know what they can handle. You don't know what they're already going through, so you had no right coming in there telling them anything. So anyway, he sees the ring light and he asks Naima what all that was, and she tells him about her dances and social media and all of that, and he asks her to teach him. So they start dancing and he had a little swag about himself. So then Eddie asked when were their parents coming home, and Naima said they don't know and they don't care. He said that wasn't very nice, and Spencer says, "Well, you wouldn't get it." He goes in his wallet and pull out, I guess, $40 and say, "Well, if I do get it, then you guys can get these." So now he's gonna bribe the kids, and Mama Lou standing there watching everything go down like she think it's cute. So we go over there to Lewis's office, and Cliff is telling him that he has no choice but to get rid of Sam because he signed a no-compete clause for 6 months and he's only been gone for 8 weeks. So Sam, he comes walking in there like, "You guys wanted to see me?" Lewis asks him, "Why didn't you disclose that you had a non-compete clause?" He says he thought enough time had passed. Like, "Sir, I know time is flying, but I know you know the difference between 2 months and 6 months." So Lewis tells him, "Look, we're going to have to let you go." And Sam says, "So does that mean I don't have to complete my additional training?" And Cliff is like, "Say what?" So he basically throws Lewis under the bus, saying that Lewis told him he had to complete this training without pay, and brought up the fact that he was one of 3 blacks hired in the developmental department's history. It was pretty much given, "If you fire me, I'm going to sue for racial discrimination." I guess Cliff picked up what he was putting down and told him he can go back to work. They'll just let HR handle the whole non-compete clause thing. So Lewis, he tried to plead his case, and Cliff told him that he's an excellent employee, but leadership requires a different skill set, apparently, that he doesn't have, and tells him that he has to guide his team and remember what's best for the company and consider that if he wants to have a future there. And low-key, Cliff was giving him his verbal warning. Jax tried to tell Lewis about helping people. You can't help everybody. You can't bring them all with you all the time. But hey, it is what it is. So Jax, she makes it home, and she's talking to her mom about the kids and the whole Tony situation and wondering how they're going to go forward. So Mama Lou says, "I did some things and you managed to forgive me." But basically all kids are not the same. So what Jax was willing to put up with, these new kids may not be. So then she asks Jax, has she spoken to her dad? So she says, "Yes, he's called, but I haven't called him back. He wants me to go to one of his shows, but she's trying to set boundaries. Lewis wants him to be stable before he even meets the kids. But all the while, Mama Lou knows this man has been up in this house tonight and spoken to these kids already. But does she tell Jax? No, she does not. So when Jax says to her, "I definitely don't want Eddie using you to get to me," She tries to beat Jax mad because, see, she knows she's dead ass wrong to begin with, and tells Jax that she can handle Eddie. Clearly you can't. I know Jax loves her mom and that's all she has, but I don't like the way Mama Lou does her. So we see Daniel and Christian laughing and getting to know each other as they look at videos on her phone. So as they're having a conversation, they bring up Ozzy, and she says even though he's this big personality on TV, he's a guarded introvert that used to journal. So of course this sparked something in Daniel and wanted to know, does he still have these journals? Before she can answer, Ozzy pops up like, what are you guys doing? So they all jump and separate a little bit and they say, oh, we're just talking. She asks him, where's Dr. Garner? He says, in my room packing up. Packing up what? Why are you in his room? And it took a long time for him to even come out. So what were you packing up, sir? So Ozzy pretty much dismisses Daniel and tell him he's good on the babysitting and that he'll talk to Jax. So Daniel leaves and Ozzy tells Christian he doesn't know what she's doing or what she's about to do, but Daniel is on his legal team and he doesn't need her messing things up because she got bored with him like she always does. Now, low-key, I think he was calling his little sister a 304. That's what it was given to me. Now, who else did you get bored with that you was over there hunching, Miss Christian? Was it Alex? So anyway, the creepy doctor finally comes from the back bedroom and Christian asks him, so how is he? As if somebody else was in the back getting medical attention, because I'm still confused as to why it took him like 10 hours to get up front with everybody else. Only for him to say that he is under a lot of stress and that he suggests medical marijuana for the addiction cravings and anxiety. They have this little weird exchange between him and Ozzy. Ozzy says, well, I'll take what I can get. And he's like, get some rest. I'm like, what was all that about? So in the next scene, you see Bill, Jax, and Ozzy arriving to court for the jury selections. And the media is asking questions to Ozzy, asking, was he SA'd? Did it happen on the set of My Cousins and Them? And Jax had to let them know all questions will be answered in due time. So we see Daniel outside of Ozzy's house and he calls Christian, trying to make it seem like it was very vital that he finds this notebook that he left the last time he was over there. And it was important for the jury selection for Ozzy. She says, okay, I know there's a key underneath something, blah, blah, blah. He gets the key and he goes in their condo and starts searching all over the place till he finds this box up under the bed and starts pulling out all these different journals and putting them in his book bag. Now back in the courtroom, we see Jax questioning one last juror and now they're ready to move forward. So over there at Lewis's office, he calls Sam in and tells him he emailed him a bunch of reports and they're still wrong. He has until the end of the day to make the necessary adjustments or there will be a write-up. So Sam says, oh, so that's how it is? Lewis tells him, I don't know how else you thought it would be. Like, Sam, go sit down. So Lewis, he goes home complaining about Sam, acting like he's ready to fight somebody. So Jax, she makes him feel good, put a little battery in his back a little bit, give him a couple of kisses, and then the kids come out and they're like, what's for dinner? They're happy-go-lucky. They're talking to him, and Jax and Lewis are looking like, what's going on? So leave it to Spencer. He says, how come y'all never told us how cool Grandpa Eddie is? And Lewis jumps, of course, like, excuse me? So Naima let it be known that he was over there the day before with Mama Lou and they talked to him about the Tony stuff and he gets it and he helped them get it too. Spencer tells them that he likes his granddaddy and he thinks that he's cool. So Lewis and Jax, they're standing there speechless and Lewis tells the kids go ahead and start eating without them because now he wants to go to the bedroom to talk to Jax. So Lewis tells Jax that Eddie is getting too close and that's concerning for him, but Jax doesn't really agree. She's like, well, the kids aren't as mad at us and he's responsible for that, and a win is a win. But Lewis doesn't see it that way and he is dead set on Eddie messing up again. But Jax wants to look at the positive of it all because if she snatches Eddie away from the kids, then they'll really be mad at him. And she tells Lewis that it's going to be okay, but he just seems so stressed out about this Eddie situation. And I can't seem to wonder if he has some type of underlying jealousy towards Eddie and Jax's relationship. So we go over to Kendra's house and Bill is bringing the kids back home. They have had a ball, they've won toys, they've completed their school projects, he's talked to the pediatrician, he's talked to the soccer coach, Bill has done all the things. And to top it off, so she doesn't have to cook, he brings her favorite meal, oxtails from Pepper's. So she thanks him and she's looking like she wants to tell him he can come in and stay, but she's really not quite sure. But he doesn't give her a chance to really think too hard about it. He tells her, I'll see you later. And he goes and get in the car and he smiles to himself because he knows that was a win. Now we get to my favorite part of the episode, and it shows me that absolutely no one respects Jax and her feelings and what she wants to do. We see Lewis pulling up and jumping out of his car with his chest all poked out, where Eddie and some of his homeboys chilling in the cut, and he tells Eddie, I need you to get gone and stay gone. Now mind you, Jax said a win was a win. She was cool with how everything went down and just let everything play out. But no, that wasn't good enough for him. He goes over to find Eddie anyway. So Eddie gives him a chance to come at him correct. Like, you want to try that again? He's like, nah, I was clear. Baby, when I tell you Eddie went in on Lewis, he went in. Basically saying, I took my ish on the road. You got your dirty drawers all up in the house, ishing where you sleep. So Lewis said, at least I was there, stepping up, being a husband, being a father, being a man. And Eddie told him, I don't think a real man will let my daughter get bent over by some felon, then get some B in the PTA pregnant. Ooh, child. Then Lewis looked like he was having some type of seizure or something, talking about, ooh, you talking to my kids about my business in my house? Eddie said, your house? You mean the house my daughter pays the mortgage on? You coming up in here acting like the HNIC and you can't even file head of household on your mofo taxes. I said, Lord, have mercy. I was done. I'm like, go home, Lewis. Go home. Eddie, you didn't have to do him like that. Eddie had Lewis looking like a plumb fool. All he could say is, you're lucky you are Jax's father. And Eddie told him, but I am her father. That's why we both know you ain't gonna do ish. But shut the F up and go play on your little video game. So, ninja, bye. He basically laid him to rest. He also told him to go home and cook that meal because it wasn't going to cook itself, and went and dapped up his homeboys because he had done read them so bad. I mean, look here. Is Eddie raggedy? Yes, he is. Is Eddie prone to probably hurt Jax and the kids again? He probably will, but Lewis had no business coming up there where that man was, minding his business and coming at him with the energy that he came with. So all Eddie was doing was matching his energy. So again, he should have never took his behind over there. And even if you're going over there, at least approach the man and call him to the side in a different type of way. Don't come over there with all that bravado you had up in there. And why nobody checking Mama Lou? She is the one that is telling all your business. Those kids don't know nothing about Damon and that kidnapping. They just found out about your lies and Tony 2 days ago. So in the next scene, we see Daniel going through the journals. So he calls Jax and tells her that he found something. So Daniel, he starts reading, and we find out he wrote something about Wendy betraying him and all his trust was completely broken. How could she do this to him? What did she do? We still don't know what Wendy did. What did Rosie say Wendy did? So in the journal, he says he called Monica, but he was able to tell her no and haven't been able to do that since he was 13. So we find out in this moment that Monica, his agent, was the one that essayed him when he was 13 and apparently has been doing it for the last 10 to 11 years. So here we are the day before the trial. She's over to his house and she's providing him with drugs. And they have said several times that anytime he gets high, he's never alone. So he tells her that he misses Wendy and she says, I'm sorry she's gone, but I'm here. And she starts rubbing all over his body and tells him maybe I've had one too many, trying to say she needs to go and lay down as she's taking her clothes off, and tells him it's time for bed, Ozzy. And that's where the episode ends. Woo, child. They need to lock Monica up and throw away the key for taking advantage of Ozzy all these years. But I feel like there has to be somebody else involved that has been taking advantage of him in the same manner. Possibly that creepy behind doctor. And do you guys feel like Lewis is just being protective of his family? Or is there some hidden jealousy that he doesn't want Jax to really get close to her dad? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let's talk about it. And as always, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.